Yeah, I'd be glad to kick it off. I think it is certainly an imperative for us. As you heard me talk this morning, it is a, excuse me, a key part of our transformation. And I'll just speak to one thing that I've seen happen with the integration as we brought in Roman Haas. Roman Haas was, I'd say on the whole, much more customer-centric, than Dow. So they were, and one of their key tenets from the time, Mr. Haas started the company was having technical employees in his customer shops, understanding what their problems were, and then translating that back into the company for solution space. One of the really neat things that I've seen at Dow is with Roman Haas, we brought in that connection with the customer, but what I found on the Dow side was a much deeper resource pool of expertise, of basic science capabilities, basic engineering capabilities, and we've been able to match up, those foundational capabilities with these customer needs that were coming in, from the people out with the customers, and that has been neat to see. Where Roman Haas were probably more focused around, a more confined solution space for their customers, whereas they had a lot of expertise in acrylic chemistries, and that was where they found a lot of their solutions. Now we can expand that out to epoxies, to polyurethanes, to other things that bring additional solutions. So for us, that has led to a much richer innovation pipeline with I think much fruit to be harvested there in the future as we go forward.
Excellent. Alan, go ahead.
Our learning around innovation is that it's a collaborative process. It's not all internal or what we would call organic. It's not all external, inorganic. It's a collaborative, open, participative process between customers, the market, and even within, even amongst competitors. So as we approach innovation, we, of course, invest internally on our own R&D efforts. To answer your question, one of the new ways that we started in the past years, we started up an equity ventures arm. And so we're very active in different areas around the world where you see innovation at the university level to go and identify innovative new technologies, invest in those in an early stage, and help those companies commercialize a product. So that's been a new way we've done it recently.
The challenge for big companies like us is really getting customer proximity to important parts of the organization. And we try to do that in two ways. That first of all, we specialize, that certain parts of the organization have clear end user responsibilities. And on the other side, a strong drive for solution business. Solution business gives you really, let's say, an insight into the pain points of the customer. And this is then driving for innovation. And the third step is making sure that the steps between the customer and the final, let's say, R&D guy, that this is a very short interconnection. So that the experience, the customer experience, is really ending at those people who have to solve the issue, and that they feel the real pain points of the customer. So it's segment focus, it's solution business, and making sure that the workflow and the work stream is very compact and short.
So Clemens, the point you're trying to make is you're working with your customers to come up with the new, more innovative solutions. Good. David, would you have some comment?
Maybe a few comments, and maybe just building on what Alan said. And one of the key areas that's really proven to be helpful in terms of driving innovation is partnering with universities and also partnering with small startups. So certainly Shell has developed its relationships around the world with key technical universities, basically funding research programs and driving an awful lot of new innovation in that way. And also promising technologies through the internal Shell Game Changer program have been identified, and we have built a number of joint ventures around the world with small startups, once again nurturing and creating an incubator program that's been very fruitful moving forward. So I would say those are the two big ones.
Maybe, I don't want to be classed as a Luddite, but we don't outsource at all. And the reason for that is that part of doing the work is learning what doesn't work as well as what does work. Mm-hmm. We've, however, delivered systems worldwide, and we watch our customers and how they innovate. And my feeling is that a lot of the innovation, it's there. It was just missing a basic element like the data. And probably the classic example of this is that Kodak gave a pretty good paper at the Sapphire and then the Innovation Sustainability Conference. When they first put their system in, they just totally believe in continuous improvement. They couldn't help themselves. So they started doing Kaizen groups on energy management and water savings. And the bottom line is over 4 years, they saved $100 million and a couple billion gallons of water. But it was little innovations all over. And I don't see how you outsource that, because these kinds of things require support. And if you outsource it, you have to outsource it forever.
Okay. Don, would you like to say?
Well, I mean, certainly within with a big producing company, there are opportunities to partner with certain companies to do certain things for you. I think it's very important that you make very conscious decisions around what you choose to maybe do from outside the company. There are certainly certain services that we bring into the company from companies and partners that have more expertise in certain areas than we do, and that we don't want to invest and develop. But for us, it is a different answer, even business by business, right? What you might be willing to do in one business and take outside, you definitely would not want to in another. And so we do spend time and have that to build those strategies within the individual businesses, and then to partner with our functions, which are strong entities within Dow, to make those decisions to take or not take outside. And I think one of the key things and one of the changes that that I've seen in Dow over the last few years is that willingness to be flexible and realize that there's not one size fits all across our company. Well, with the 60 or 70 different businesses that we run, there's a myriad of different solutions that can work, but you need to be very conscious about what you're doing and not sacrifice the future, to Pat's point, that you really know and understand what you're doing there.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would just add that in the outsourcing discussion, outsourcing to me is more transactional and shorter term. As Don said, partnering. We're a relatively vertically integrated company, and so we have a lot of core competencies that span various industries. And so that's one of our objectives, is to set ourselves up as a partner to provide certain services to our customers.
Well, I think, as I touched on earlier, the amount of information that we're collecting is just growing geometrically. And we're a data-dependent industry, and it's absolutely essential that we manage that. And we've got phenomenally complex operations going on around the world. So the short answer is the business has just become too complex for us not to digitize it. So a point I would make, and it's all about the visibility that I touched on earlier, is you have to be very selective of where the information flows and what gets to the top of the house. And that primarily has to be done by exception. So we have to be looking at a phenomenal amount of information. We have to digitize everything, but it's by exception that we basically, the messages and alerts get to the top of the house on the dashboards.
And I would turn your question a little bit upside down. You need to say, what do I need to run the business? And then you go digitize whatever you need. And if you don't need it, if you didn't come up with a reason for it, maybe you digitize it anyway, maybe you don't. That's kind of an option. But the first group is not an option. You need to know particular information for safety, for protection of personnel, for profitability, to detect competition. Then the only effective way to handle those levels of analysis as well as data flow is to digitize it.
Good. Any other comment? Okay.
If you look, it's again, I take your point saying looking from the customer side to it is if you look the challenges in the industry in terms of demand volatility and the increased variety of products which have to be manufactured in an operation. Without digitization, you just cannot master this challenge and this complexity. There's no way.
I can make one more comment. It's from what I want. What I want is I want to be as easy to order from as Amazon. I want to ship as reliably as UPS. You know, and those may require looking at what we're doing manually, what we're doing redundantly, and where all those errors are coming from. Because too often we get so busy, we forget to improve. But there's some great examples out there. I mean, for 39 bucks on Amazon, you don't pay shipping. So I can buy pencils and paper and notebooks, and it always gets the day they say it comes in reliably. And I would really like to have that. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I'd like to have that.